Welcome to Maritime Matters, a podcast focused on leaders in the maritime market, the people, the companies, the technologies that are making and breaking the news, helping to lead the maritime industry to a safer, more efficient, more profitable, and cleaner future. Welcome aboard. This is Greg Trautwein with Maritime Matters, the Marine League podcast, and we're very pleased to be joined today by Cristian Corotto, President, Digital Division of Accelleron, to discuss this innovative company with more than a century of engineering innovation, helping the marine and the energy industries cumulatively operate more efficiently, and most recently, helping the industries to accelerate decarbonization efforts via turbocharging, fuel injection, and digital solutions. So, Cristian, first and foremost, welcome to Maritime Matters. Cristian, to start us off, to set the stage, as I like to say, why don't you give us a bit of a personal and professional background? Specifically, I see on your LinkedIn profile that you have an extensive and diverse background spanning the automotive industry and online companies like eBay. Can you provide some context to your experience and career up to and through when you joined Accelleron and the scope of your responsibilities as President, Digital Division, Accelleron today?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I know I do have a quite a diverse background and experience coming from different industries over 20 years, where basically the connecting part of all many industry, automotive, healthcare, internet, is basically the data that is connecting and the user experience and the value that you can get out of the data. That basically it is my story. I have an engineer background, but I also worked many years in marketing, which I also took a second master in marketing management. And I also hold the Stanford Business School, Stanford graduate SAP, Stanford Executive Program that I hold in 2015, which definitely opened up the capability of the digital transformation and also the capability to think in way more strategically about different businesses. And basically that's what I've done. And joining at the Accelleron now, we are helping and supporting. I have two jobs, which basically is supporting the group in their digital transformation, AI, and cybersecurity to deal with those new technology. But of course, more a supporting function of the other division, the turbocharging and injection, but as well as hold my own division, own responsibility, full P&L responsibility, where I also support our customer in the same way as doing internally to make sure that they are getting the best out of the data. They can really enable their capability in order to make the right decision through the data and using the technology and the domain knowledge. So this is the combination that I've experienced. That's basically what I can bring in. And also switching between industry, I always have to join the technical and the methodology and the data with the domain knowledge. I am not a dentist, I am not a marine engineer, but I can combine. I know how to mix this ingredient to really make a nice recipe.
Yeah. If you were a dentist, it would be an interesting addition to your experience as well. But I mean, you truly are. You're in an exciting part of this business, and I say that because as I mentioned previously, as we were opening up here, I've been doing this for 33 years, and I was just having this conversation this week with some colleagues of, when you look at the industry then and you look at it now, it's very recognizable, but it's not recognizable in a lot of ways. So I mean, it's truly fascinating, and increasingly, I find myself having conversations with executives like you, executives with more of a broad background, not necessarily coming up through the maritime ranks, but being in different entities and different industries and bringing that cumulative knowledge to bear. So I look forward to this conversation. But when you look at the organization you lead, can you provide a concise overview of its offer to the marine and the energy industries, as well as a by the numbers look at the organization? Really, I'm just looking for something that gives our viewers, our listeners, a size and scope to the operation.
It is, as I said before, has a division that has the two roles of enabling the capability of turbocharging injection in the digitalization part, but also we are supporting our customer. We believe that we are in front of a time where we need to accelerate the sustainability in marine. We need to help our customer to do that. That is an important part. So we are coming from a product that is Tecomar Expert that has been around for many years. It is an engine optimization. So in the merchant marine, you have to do normally the optimization of the engine is a monthly job. What we are doing to do it is basically advising on the data. So the chief engineer is able to make the readings into the software, and based on the knowledge that we have built up over years with our technology department and engineering and engine department, we are basically giving the recommendation what to do in order to optimize the engine. And we see that this is technological part. On the technical part, it's been our core for many years. Now lately the customer are looking for the CII reduction, looking for the optimization on the sustainability part, and we realize that to have an efficient vessel, it is what the customer wants to have it, for sure. To make sure that the engine is optimized is absolutely needed and important for the CII, but also to reduce the consumption. But it's not enough. To have a clean hull or to know when to clean the hull, it's good, but it's not enough. Why? Because if we want to reach digitalization, if we want to reach through the digitalization, the optimization and reduce the emission, also is getting important to understand how the vessel is being operated. And that's also why lately we acquired a company through Nord Marine, which is an AI-based optimization, voyage optimization, which again is following our philosophy that it is not a matter of AI, it is not a matter of technology. The technology itself is an important tool, but it is an enabling of the knowledge that we have it. So we're looking for competence, and we have now chief engineer, we have R&D engineer, we do also have a captain and seafarers, in order to really have the knowledge, the real knowledge about the voyaging, as well as the knowledge about the engine part and the hull and propeller. And of course, everything together is coming to what is calling the emission. Emission needs to be reported, but also to have the competence to support our customer in the certification of that emission, which is basically is given in the full, in one package only, all this experience where our customer using our product can really make themselves at the center of what they need to do it. With our support, they can really achieve their goals. That is really what is care to us and what we mean when we say we want to accelerate the sustainability in marine. That's how we believe we can really help them.
You you hit the nail on the head specifically because obviously there's a lot of emerging technologies, but you still need that traditional maritime know-how, that traditional mariner and that traditional education that's been around for centuries. So, it's an interesting time with digital trends. You mentioned the emissions and the decarbonization and all the different things that ship owners watching need to face today. Right now, we have ships using LNG, which, has been around for a while, but it's not as common at ports as traditional fuels. And then you have others that eventually are going to try to sail on a methanol or an ammonia, which obviously today is not as prevalent. It's not as common either. So, how specifically, when we're talking about alternative fuels and their availability, how specifically do you see data playing a significant role in helping companies to navigate this fuel transition while the infrastructure for transitional and carbon neutral fuels still is really in its infancy?
Absolutely. As I said, it's a transition. Transition is meaning we are managing a lot of variable. Things are changing constantly. Our customer is not easy. They have to deal with a lot of complexity. And before, from one kind of fuel, now you get a multiple fuel type, which is, it's a complexity for the crew on board, it's a complexity for the bunkering, it's a complexity for the operation of the vessel. The only way you can manage high complexity is when you're able to connect the dots through the data in order to make a better decision. Our brain cannot cope with so much details. At a certain point, you need to have something that aggregates the data, that you have it, in order to make the best decision. We know that we are, the transition, it's really specific customer by customer. Someone has a different kind of vessel, someone has a different, you cannot fit one solution that fits all. Our software, it's flexible enough, it's strictly but flexible enough to accommodate all the differences, but as well it is something that we look into continuous improving. I give you an example to what does it mean. We have the voyage optimization. Voyage optimization, yes, it's an important part because of course it allows you to sail safety from the weather, but now you also have a complexity of the bunkering. Which kind of fuel do you have? Where you can bunkering? Are you running a green corridor or not? All these complexities coming on top of the regular activities. We are able to navigate that complexity and to help the captain to make the better and the easier decision and optimize the route to achieving the fuel savings, the arrival on time, but also to make sure they are bunkering and they have the right pricing in the right place. It's getting really complex. That's also a fact.
I certainly appreciate the value of data, and it's personal for me as well. My oldest son, who's now 28, he was an applied mathematics and statistics major. And I remember distinctly going to his college dorm room, and one of his books was open, or one of his notebooks, and I saw an equation. And to me, to my journalistic editorial brain, it didn't look like a foreign language. It looked like an alien language. So I appreciate that. So, as I mentioned in my first question, you have a broad background across industry, and in my 30 years covering this market, we've talked time and again about the advantage of tapping intelligence outside this industry to deliver breakthroughs in efficiency. Now, I know that this can be a conservative market in terms of technology adoption. That's my opinion, and I know our listeners want your opinion. So, what do you see today as the biggest challenge in fully leveraging digital solutions for decarbonization and shipping? Is it the industry's conservative nature, or is it something else?
Well, yeah, yes and no. Let me, because I have to be honest. Everybody look into this industry and with this conservative. Well, I think that it's a human being to be conservative. We are all conservative in a way. I think the industry is moving at the speed of the business needs to move. And I see a lot of company now and people in the company, they are dealing with a higher complexity. And of course, when you're dealing with that, you are more open to innovation. You're open to someone that, you're not open to technology because of the technology. You're open to the technology because it's solving a real problem that you have every day. And if you can find the formula that you were referring to, that is helping you instead of generating more complexity, but is able to translate a problem into a solution. And with the expertise of someone that is not only leaving the formula, but helping to translate that formula in something, in a language that is connecting with you. That's why our expertise, we go back to that expertise part. Well, then it's not about the technology, it's about solving day-to-day problem through and with the technology that help us to simplify. That's where it's difficult for me to discuss about the industry. It's discussing about there are problems and we find the solution, and today the solution can be founded easier through the complexity in the world which we are living through the technology. So, but we should not forget the human part, that we are human. We have to solve problems. We need to support our customer to make better decisions. That is the core. How? Well, if the world is getting complex, we need complex formula, as you were referring, to find the best one. But we need to keep the people and in the loop, in the middle, actually at the core. That is and we want to find solution. That is my core. Well, that's what I see. We can really support the industry.
That truly is. That's an interesting observation. I mean, you're starting to see it today. I mean, there's things happening in this industry I never would have envisioned. I never would have, in my wildest imagination, envisioned years ago. But you obviously have some of the big industry leaders who can take that time, invest in that technology, prove it. And you know this industry. This industry, there are some behemoth companies, but the majority of it is smaller, more dispersed organizations. So it'll take some time there. And speaking about time, everyone probably has on their calendar 2050. And, we talk continuously about the industry hitting net zero by 2050. We discuss ad nauseum that there are no silver bullet solutions, as you said before, to make that happen, if it can happen in that time frame. The only thing I know for certainty is that I won't be sitting in this seat at the ripe old age of 84 to analyze the progress. So, as the maritime industry considers all the factors, the fuel, the ship design, the digitalization, can you put in perspective how important that digitalization part is to achieving that goal?
Well, I split it into four phases. That is my view, my personal view. I think that we are in a phase where digitalization helps to solve complex problem to optimize what is the current. So we know that we are building new ships with dual fuel, but in the meantime, the new technology of the fuel, as we discussed before, are coming, but they are not covering the full fleet. So it's coming and it's growing, and the more fuel will be available. So we are in a transition, as we said. Now, what can we do now? Now, it's important part to start to optimize what we have. Let's take the waste away. So let's also, it has a financial benefit as well, which is not only on the environmental part, but let's focus on that, because that's the short-term goal. That's what we can do now, today, yesterday. We can fix it in a couple of weeks. That's number one. While we do that, we will continue to improve and using the data. There is a possibility to have the upgrade the vessel, optimizing the vessel in a different area in order to improve the efficiency, energy efficiency of the vessel. That is one part. Then while this is happening, we have the third part, which the new fuel will come. And then we will really hit the zero as we plan. So it's a sort of three phases, as I said before, but let me focus on those three first. So digital, then we go to upgrade, then we are waiting the new fuel. And now the fourth one, when the fuel will come, they will be highly expensive. And then digitalization again will help to optimize, in this case, not for the emission, but for the cost. So we'll go back to that phase. So we have four phases, which three are basically new, and the one have to continue through the innovation time in order to realize if all those steps are being made in the right direction. And if you don't measure and you don't control, that you don't monitor, you don't know if you go in the right direction. And that's why from today, we can immediately start to optimize, and the same methodology will guide you through this period until we go to 250, and then we will continue to optimize. So this is a journey with never ending, and that is a challenging part, but it's also quite fascinating and attractive, because we will really have to learn as a company, as a human being, new skills in order to continue this journey together as a person, as a customer, and the same as a company. So we are in a really fascinating time.
No, it is fascinating time, and it is a journey. I mean, again, I remember I started in this seat in 1992, and I just had this conversation this week. I was up at a shipping show in Stamford, and in 1992, there was no internet, there was no email, there were hardly cell phones, and I remember on the first edition that I put out, it was a new container ship, and I think it was maybe 4,000 TEU, which at the time was a big container ship and that someone back then I remember seeing designs and you'd see a design for a 10,000 TU and you're like nah it'll never happen, it'll never happen. But Christian, I really do appreciate your time. I just had one more question. Everyone loves a case study. It's a benchmark, something that they can gauge and measure their own success. I'm sure there are many, but I know based on my experience, I'm equally sure that you're not at liberty to share all of your clients' stories. But for the benefit of our audience, can you take a deep dive into one recent or ongoing project, something that can help to illustrate tangibly how Accelleron's unique digital value proposition and its depth of experience have really helped vessel owners meet their very own emission reduction goals?
Yes, I wish I could say more than I can because we do have really interesting cases of customer using the full set of our product that really make a difference, and that is really that's something really fascinating to see the transformation. But what I can touch in, I can give you some links maybe for the audience they want to deep dive more. For sure, there are some interesting cases available on our website. I will just focus on one simple from a company in India, Gasco, which basically they're using Decomar Expert to optimize the fuel, and they were able to save $45,000 per day per vessel. So that was a big savings, and of course. They basically they deployed to the full fleet after they had a trial, and you will see all the information that are available on the website. But there are many also in the voyage optimization. We help to navigate correctly the logistics of the Airbus 320. Because that's a complicated logistics and the arrival on time between Europe and the supply chain in US required a good synchronization, and we are being selected, TNM is being selected for that kind of analysis to make sure that parts come arriving just in time in the operation. There are many cases, and what I see that more and more, yeah, we can publish some of them, but the part that I just say is more exciting is the one that we are not publishing, because many customers, and that's also important, many customers really focusing to make sure that they do have a competitive advantage towards the competitors. We are in a competitive market. And of course, they are using our product to be more competitive, to make sure that they can optimize their solution, can take our recommendation and use it, our recommendation at the best for their benefit. And unfortunately, there are many more that I cannot disclaim, but I can guarantee you that it's something that is nice. It's nice from my perspective to see the customer are doing something, that we are doing something to help them to really to make a small improvement in the decarbonization journey of this planet. So, and I'm committed to make sure that this is happening. I have a kids. I'm looking for the future. I'm happy to contribute it to accelerate the sustainability journey of the marine. It's not maybe a lot. I cannot change the world, but I'm happy to contribute for what I can.
No, that's amazing. Well, again, like you said, no two ships are alike. No two ship routes are alike. It's a very specific solution based on a carrier and their profile. But I know you can't share details, and I know I always aim to get as many details as possible. But I think $45,000 a day per vessel across the fleet might get some people calling on your website. So Christian, it truly has been, it's been a pleasure. It's been very nice to meet you. I love doing these things on Riverside or whatever video platform we're using, but hopefully we'll be able to meet in person one day and have a continue this conversation. And I know your team is usually available to us, so we look forward to working with you and your team as we take this journey together.
Thank you. It's definitely a pleasure, Greg. It's my pleasure to be hosted by you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that I can share my thought. I mean, it is what we do in every day. It's what we put our passion and our energy every day. And I'm happy to share what we like and we love to do. Not only myself but my full team. There is more than 120 people that are working every day really to make sure that we can help our customer to make a difference. So I'm really happy for that, and thank you again. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing this conversation, which I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to Maritime Matters. If you would like to be featured on a future Maritime Matters podcast, visit www.marinelink.com or email maritimematters@marinelink.com.